Dale Carnegie begins by emphasizing that success in human relations begins with understanding the natural desires and tendencies of people. He asserts that criticism, condemnation, and complaints are rarely effective because people instinctively resist being told they are wrong. Criticism tends to provoke defensiveness and resentment, while encouragement and appreciation inspire cooperation and goodwill. Carnegie frames the book around the principle that relationships flourish when people feel respected, understood, and valued. The first principle is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Carnegie explains that criticizing others attacks their pride, wounds their sense of importance, and provokes resistance. Instead of criticism, he advocates for patience, understanding, and tactful guidance. By focusing on constructive methods rather than negative judgments, one can influence behavior without generating hostility. The second principle is give honest and sincere appreciation. People crave recognition, and acknowledging their efforts genuinely strengthens relationships and motivates positive action. Carnegie illustrates this with examples of managers, teachers, and leaders who achieved greater results simply by expressing gratitude and highlighting others' contributions. Genuine appreciation, unlike flattery, is rooted in honesty and is deeply felt by recipients. The third principle is arouse in the other person an eager want. Influence is most effective when it aligns with the other person's interests, desires, and motivations. By understanding what others value and presenting ideas in a way that meets their needs, one encourages cooperation without coercion. Carnegie emphasizes that persuasion works best when it appeals to mutual benefit rather than self-interest alone. Throughout this section, Carnegie uses vivid anecdotes from business, social, and personal contexts to illustrate how these principles function in real life. Leaders who refrained from criticism and focused on encouragement, employees who were genuinely appreciated, and individuals who aligned their requests with others' desires all achieved better outcomes. The underlying lesson is that human behavior is deeply influenced by emotion, pride, and a desire for recognition. By applying patience, sincere appreciation, and an understanding of others' motivations, one can create trust, build rapport, and foster cooperation. This foundation sets the stage for the practical techniques in subsequent chapters, guiding readers toward more effective interpersonal relationships and influence. In this section, Carnegie focuses on building genuine rapport and fostering likability through simple yet powerful behaviors. He emphasizes that people naturally gravitate toward those who make them feel valued, respected, and understood. These principles are practical tools for developing both personal and professional relationships. The first principle is be genuinely interested in other people. Carnegie argues that showing sincere curiosity about someone's life, opinions, and experiences creates an immediate connection. Genuine interest cannot be faked. People quickly recognize authenticity. When others feel that you care about them, they respond with openness and trust. The second principle is smile. A warm, sincere smile conveys friendliness and approachability. Carnegie highlights that nonverbal signals often communicate more than words and can set the tone for every interaction. Smiling not only affects others' perceptions, but also positively influences your own mindset. The third principle is remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Using someone's name in conversation demonstrates recognition and respect. Carnegie provides examples of leaders and salespeople who gain loyalty and goodwill simply by remembering and using names consistently, reinforcing personal connection. The fourth principle is be a good listener and encourage others to talk about themselves. People appreciate being heard, and attentive listening builds rapport. By asking thoughtful questions and engaging with genuine curiosity, one demonstrates respect for the other person's experiences and perspectives. Listening actively also provides insight into their needs, desires, and motivations. The fifth principle is talk in terms of the other person's interests. Conversations are more effective when focused on topics that matter to the other party rather than solely on oneself. This approach fosters engagement, enthusiasm, and cooperation. By aligning discussions with the other person's passions or concerns, you create mutual understanding and positive rapport. The sixth principle is make the other person feel important, and do it sincerely. Recognition and affirmation must be heartfelt to be meaningful. Carnegie stresses that people instinctively recognize insincerity, so praise and acknowledgement should reflect genuine admiration for their qualities or achievements. Authentic recognition strengthens relationships and motivates others. Together, these 6 principles create a foundation for lasting friendships and influence. Carnegie emphasizes that these techniques are not manipulative tricks, but authentic ways of valuing and connecting with others. Consistently applying them nurtures trust, goodwill, and mutual respect, setting the stage for more effective communication and collaboration. In this section, Carnegie addresses the art of persuasion, focusing on techniques that allow individuals to influence others without creating resentment or conflict. He stresses that direct confrontation and argument are generally counterproductive, as people tend to resist being told they are wrong. Instead, persuasion should appeal to reason, emotion, and a sense of mutual benefit. The first principle is avoid arguments. Carnegie explains that even if you win an argument, you often lose goodwill and alienate the other person. He emphasizes that maintaining relationships is more important than proving a point. The second principle is show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say you're wrong. Confrontational language triggers defensiveness, while respectful acknowledgement creates openness to dialogue. The third principle is if you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. Owning mistakes disarms criticism and fosters credibility. Carnegie notes that people are more willing to forgive and cooperate when they see honesty and humility in others. The fourth principle is begin in a friendly way. Approaching discussions with warmth and goodwill sets a constructive tone and increases receptivity. A positive demeanor helps reduce resistance and encourages collaboration. The fifth principle is get the other person saying yes, yes, immediately. By leading with points of agreement, you create a sense of alignment and cooperation. This principle leverages the psychological tendency to continue agreeing once agreement has begun. The sixth principle is let the other person do a great deal of the talking. People naturally like to express their ideas and perspectives. Encouraging them to speak fosters engagement, allows you to understand their motivations, and subtly guides them toward your perspective. The seventh principle is let the other person feel that the idea is theirs. People are more committed to ideas they believe they contributed to, so framing suggestions in a way that allows others to take ownership increases acceptance. The eighth principle is try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Empathy is crucial for effective persuasion, as understanding the other person's needs and concerns helps tailor communication in a mutually beneficial way. The ninth principle is be sympathetic with the other person's ideas and desires. Recognizing their emotions and aspirations demonstrates respect and strengthens rapport, making them more receptive to your influence. The 10th principle is appeal to the nobler motives. People generally wish to act in accordance with higher ideals. Encouraging them to see the ethical, honorable, or generous side of an action aligns influence with their values. The 11th principle is dramatically appeal to people. Stories, vivid examples, and illustrations capture attention and make ideas memorable. Carnegie emphasizes that compelling storytelling enhances persuasion far more than abstract argument. The 12th principle is throw down a challenge. People respond strongly to challenges that engage their pride, skill, or ambition. Presenting tasks as opportunities to excel can motivate exceptional effort and cooperation. Together, these 12 principles show that persuasion is most effective when it respects the other person's dignity, aligns with their desires, and appeals to their sense of self-worth and morality. Carnegie's approach emphasizes understanding, tact, and strategic empathy over confrontation, creating influence that is both effective and harmonious. Carnegie addresses effective leadership and management, focusing on motivating others while preserving goodwill and respect. He emphasizes that people respond best to guidance that encourages improvement rather than criticizing or shaming them. Leadership, according to Carnegie, is about influencing behavior through positive reinforcement, empathy, and tactful communication. The first principle is begin with praise and honest appreciation. Before addressing a problem, start by acknowledging what the person is doing well. This establishes a positive atmosphere, reducing defensiveness and increasing receptivity to feedback. Carnegie illustrates that people are more likely to respond instructively when they feel valued. The second principle is call attention to mistakes indirectly. Rather than bluntly pointing out errors, suggest improvements subtly or ask guiding questions that lead the person to self-correct. This approach preserves dignity and encourages self-reflection, which is more effective than outright criticism. The third principle is talk about your own mistakes before criticizing the other person. Demonstrating humility and vulnerability creates empathy and makes the individual more open to learning. It shows that making mistakes is natural and learning from them is a shared human experience. The fourth principle is ask questions instead of giving direct orders. By framing instructions as questions, you invite collaboration, reduce resistance, and empower the individual to take responsibility for their actions. This principle fosters ownership and motivation. The fifth principle is let the other person save face. Avoiding embarrassment preserves confidence and respect. Carnegie notes that people are more likely to improve behavior when their dignity is maintained rather than diminished. The sixth principle is praise the slightest improvement and praise every improvement. Consistent recognition reinforces positive behavior and encourages continuous effort. Even small progress, when acknowledged, motivates sustained development. The seventh principle is give the other person a fine reputation to live up to. Setting high expectations and expressing confidence in someone's abilities encourages them to rise to the occasion. People often perform in alignment with the reputations and expectations set for them. The eighth principle is use encouragement. Make the fault seem easy to correct. Framing mistakes as manageable and solvable promotes learning and reduces fear of failure. Carnegie stresses that people are more willing to improve when challenges feel achievable. The ninth principle is make the other person happy about doing the thing you suggest. Align requests with the individual's interests, values, or sense of purpose. When people see personal benefit or fulfillment in their actions, they engage willingly and enthusiastically. Together, these principles illustrate that effective leadership is rooted in empathy, tact, and encouragement rather than authority, coercion, or criticism. Carnegie's methods empower individuals, build trust, and cultivate loyalty while achieving desired outcomes. Leadership becomes less about control and more about fostering growth, motivation, and cooperation. Carnegie shifts focus to written communication and subtle interpersonal techniques, showing how the same principles of influence and goodwill apply to letters, daily interactions, and personal recognition. He stresses that whether in person or in writing, tone, sincerity, and understanding of human nature are paramount. Carnegie shares examples of letters that achieve remarkable results, emphasizing courtesy, tact, and genuine appreciation. A well-crafted letter avoids criticism, focuses on positive aspects, and subtly encourages desired behavior. He notes that written words, like spoken ones, should appeal to the recipient's pride, sense of importance, and desire to contribute, rather than force compliance through pressure or complaint. A key principle Carnegie highlights is avoiding arguments. People rarely change their minds when confronted. Instead, arguments often entrench opposition. He encourages readers to seek points of agreement, listen actively, and present ideas in ways that align with the other person's perspective. Maintaining a friendly and respectful approach preserves goodwill and opens the door to influence. Another crucial aspect is making people feel important, and doing so sincerely. Carnegie emphasizes that recognition must be genuine. People respond positively when they feel their contributions, qualities, or opinions are valued. This principle extends to daily life, workplaces, and correspondence, where acknowledging others' importance can transform relationships and inspire cooperation. Carnegie also discusses techniques for dealing with difficult situations in letters or conversations, such as expressing appreciation before raising concerns, framing critiques indirectly, and suggesting improvements without diminishing the other person's dignity. These methods prevent defensiveness and create a cooperative atmosphere. Together, these strategies demonstrate that influence is most effective when it combines empathy, tact, and genuine recognition. Whether through spoken words or written communication, the goal is to foster trust, respect, and goodwill, while encouraging positive behavior. Carnegie illustrates that small, thoughtful gestures and careful phrasing can have profound effects on personal and professional relationships. Carnegie explores techniques for constructive feedback, motivation, and collaboration. He emphasizes that how we respond to mistakes, our own and others, greatly influences relationships and outcomes. The goal is to encourage improvement while maintaining trust, respect, and goodwill. The first principle is don't criticize, condemn, or complain, reiterated here with practical examples. Criticism often triggers defensiveness and resentment, whereas constructive guidance fosters learning and cooperation. Carnegie encourages leaders to focus on solutions rather than faults. Next, admit your own mistakes quickly and emphatically. Acknowledging your errors demonstrates humility and credibility, making others more receptive to feedback and more willing to reflect on their own behavior. It also models accountability and encourages a culture of honesty and growth. Carnegie then emphasizes praising improvements, no matter how small. Recognizing progress reinforces positive behavior and motivates continued effort. People respond strongly to encouragement, which is far more effective than reprimands or negative focus. Another key technique is giving others a reputation to live up to. By expressing confidence in someone's abilities, you inspire them to rise to expectations. This principle leverages human pride and self-respect to encourage desired actions. Motivation through alignment with personal desires is also critical. People are more likely to cooperate and exert effort when their goals, interests, or values align with the task at hand. Carnegie stresses understanding what drives each individual and framing responsibilities accordingly. Carnegie also highlights the power of empathy and perspective-taking, understanding others' points of view, sympathizing with their challenges, and showing genuine concern builds trust and strengthens relationships. People are more willing to collaborate and follow guidance when they feel heard and understood. Finally, inspiration often works better than authority. Leaders and influencers achieve long-term results not through coercion or fear, but by appealing to pride, ambition, and the desire to contribute meaningfully. Using encouragement, sincere recognition, and tactful guidance creates an environment where cooperation and initiative thrive. Together, these strategies demonstrate that constructive criticism, motivation, and cooperation are most effective when coupled with empathy, respect, and recognition. Carnegie shows that influencing others is less about authority or pressure and more about fostering engagement, trust, and a sense of shared purpose. Carnegie reinforces his principles through numerous real-life anecdotes drawn from business, politics, and everyday interactions. These examples illustrate how the techniques of appreciation, empathy, persuasion, and sincere interest in others yield tangible results in diverse contexts. One recurring theme is the power of sincere appreciation and recognition. Carnegie shares stories of managers and leaders who transform underperforming employees by noticing small efforts, praising genuine achievements, and conveying confidence in their abilities. These simple acts fostered loyalty, motivation, and higher performance. Another lesson focuses on building rapport through listening and genuine interest. Carnegie provides examples of salespeople, executives, and social figures who succeeded by asking thoughtful questions, actively listening, and aligning conversations with the interests and values of others. The results consistently showed that people respond positively to attention and validation. Carnegie also highlights the importance of handling disagreements tactfully. He shares cases where arguments were avoided, mistakes were admitted openly, and critiques were framed constructively. By approaching conflicts with humility and respect, individuals preserve relationships while guiding others toward better outcomes. The section emphasizes the universality of human desires for appreciation, importance, and understanding. Whether in professional or personal spheres, individuals are motivated by the same emotional needs: recognition, respect, and alignment with their values. Those who master these principles can inspire cooperation, resolve conflicts, and cultivate enduring friendships. Additionally, Carnegie illustrates the effectiveness of persuasion through storytelling and appeal to nobler motives. Leaders and communicators achieved exceptional results when they framed requests in ways that resonated with people's ideals, ambitions, or sense of pride. This approach, combined with tact and empathy, produced voluntary cooperation rather than compliance driven by fear or obligation. Through these real-life examples, Carnegie demonstrates that the principles he outlines are practical, replicable, and universally applicable, whether in leadership, sales, social settings, or personal relationships. The consistent application of appreciation, respect, empathy, and tact produces meaningful, lasting results. Carnegie consolidates the lessons from the book, emphasizing that effective human relations are rooted in empathy, sincerity, and understanding the universal desires of people. The overarching principle is that influence and success come not from manipulation or authority, but from building trust, goodwill, and genuine connection. Carnegie reiterates that people crave appreciation, recognition, and importance. By giving honest praise, showing interest in others, and valuing their contributions, individuals naturally inspire cooperation and loyalty. Small acts of kindness and acknowledgement, when applied consistently, have a profound cumulative effect on relationships. He also emphasizes the power of empathy and perspective-taking, understanding the motivations, desires, and concerns of others allows for communication and persuasion that respects their dignity and encourages collaboration. People respond positively when they feel heard and understood. Another critical reflection is the importance of tact and humility in criticism and leadership. Constructive guidance, framed respectfully and paired with encouragement, leads to lasting improvement without creating resentment. Leaders who admit their own mistakes and guide others through encouragement rather than coercion cultivate environments of trust, motivation, and engagement. Carnegie stresses the practicality of the principles, whether in personal life, social interactions, or professional settings. The techniques outlined are actionable and universally applicable. By consistently practicing genuine interest, active listening, encouragement, and tact, individuals can transform relationships, resolve conflicts, and inspire cooperation. Finally, Carnegie reminds readers that success in dealing with people is not a matter of skillful manipulation, but of authentic care and respect for others. The principles he presents, appreciation, empathy, tact, and sincere interest, are timeless and can be applied daily to improve both personal and professional interactions. In conclusion, How to Win Friends and Influence People is more than a guide to social skills. It is a manual for cultivating meaningful, respectful, and mutually beneficial relationships. Carnegie demonstrates that the foundation of influence is human understanding, and that mastering these principles leads not only to success, but to deeper, more rewarding connections with others. Thank you for joining me as we explored How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie, a timeless guide to building meaningful relationships and inspiring cooperation. If you found these insights helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new book summary. Share your favorite principle or story in the comments. I'd love to hear how you apply these lessons in your own life.